Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@USAPrepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Dr. Shealy, are you blissed?
Yes, despite Corona.
Dr. Shealy, I am so frustrated. But before I tell you about that, is there anything that you'd like to share before we get started?
I do think we need to discuss the lack of any discussion as to how the coronavirus got into a nursing home.
Sure. Let's talk about that.
Well, I mean, there's this big announcement that a second person died in Washington State, and they're saying that a whole bunch of in this nursing home have the virus, but they've never even suggested that anyone visited them on a trip from China or whatever. So, you know, it just is shaky as everything else in this whole scam.
Okay, so what we know is there are about 50 people who are residents, patients, living in this nursing home. And we also know, I mean, this is obvious, that someone who's in a nursing home is in a compromised position at some level or multiple levels. We know that, right? Isn't that true, Dr. Shealy?
As far as I can tell.
In terms of immune system, mobility, lots of reasons cause people to go to nursing homes and live out their final days there. Well, they're kind of trapped there. A lot of them are in wheelchairs, and if somebody doesn't come to visit them, they can't get out and visit other people. They're trapped. I know this for a fact. Well, and I also know that the people who work there are not highly paid. I'm talking about the aides. The aides make about minimum wage. So the same wage is paid for a lot of the people who change the bedpans, wash the patients, bathe them, bring the meals, cook the meals, make about the same amount as a McDonald's employee, minimum wage. Yeah. And so...
I'm just thinking, and to me, working at McDonald's is the same as emptying bedpans.
I guess, I guess the only difference is the bun. Well, so these people are trapped. These residents, these patients are trapped in the nursing home. And so they have no control over who comes to visit whom, or who the delivery guy is, or, who brings the rolls, the spam, whatever is going to be on that plate. The patients there have no control over who visits. And it's like being on an airplane. It's like being on a cruise ship. When you're there, and you don't get let out until the paperwork is done, or unless your family, shows up with some arms and says, we're going to take Uncle Joe or Dad out of here. And if we have any resistance, I just want you to know that, we're all carrying. Well, so there was a lot of cover-up. And when I say cover-up, I mean literally cover-up about what happened. Because when they were hauling these patients out to, I guess, the morgue, there were employees there that had bed sheets, and they stretched the bed sheets so the cameras could not get a good picture of what these people look like. Now, what is the problem? So if you have a dead person on a stretcher, what is the problem? Are they bleeding from their eyes? Are they bleeding from their ears? Is the facial expression so frightening that there can't be a picture of it? Because We've all seen dead people on TV. So what is it, Dr. Shealy? Because I'm learning that there is a disease in Africa right now where people are bleeding from their eyes and ears and dying.
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
And as usual, the reporting is at best borderline and at worst deceiving, in my opinion.
Uh-huh. Right.
I mean, it's totally, totally, totally inadequate, and that bothers me more than the whole thing because it means, as usual, we cannot trust the drive-by.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, here's an interesting thing that I wanted to share with you about the coronavirus. So you and I have been warning people for weeks and weeks and weeks about this. We've been talking about it, what you need to do, what supplements you need to have, how you need to pay attention to hygiene, how you need to stay out of areas where there are lots of GDP, meaning generally dumb public. And so we've been talking about this. We've even been talking about self-quarantine. I have, over the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I called a few people, not many. I'm talking about people I am concerned about, people I care about. And I explained, I said, so y'all know about the coronavirus? Yeah. Are you concerned? Well, I didn't find much concern, which was quite shocking to me. And I said, okay, well, the coronavirus itself is a big problem. But the really big problem is the supply chain, because the Chicoms, the communist Chinese, manufacture the ingredients for roughly 80% of our medicines. They make our antibiotics.
I love that. It means the drugs that I don't like and wouldn't use under any circumstance aren't going to be available.
Well, that's exactly right. That's exactly right, Dr. Shealy. But many people have addicted themselves because of the poor medical advice that they've been given to these Chicom products, these medicine products. They're addicted to them, heart medicine and so forth. Well, pain relievers, I mean, all kinds of meds, prescription meds is what I'm talking about. Well, I mentioned the supply chain on each of these calls that I've made, and these were lengthy calls. I'm talking, half hour, 45 minutes, explaining that the numbers are wrong. They're lying to us. The R naught is wrong. It's not 1.2. The infectious rate is that we're being told is wrong. The severity that we're being told is minimized because there would not be the cancellation of flights. 200,000 canceled flights into China already. That was as of last week. That has made the media. That wouldn't happen if this were just the common cold, as Rush Limbaugh was alluding that this is. It's no worse than the common cold. Nobody stops transatlantic flights for a common cold. Nobody.
Common sense, the uncommon commodity.
Yeah. So I've been trying to explain this, and the thing that has gotten me stunned, Dr. Shealy, in class, is that there is no sense of urgency. Now, let me contrast this with something that happened with Dr. Shealy and me on the radio. I mentioned the supply chain, and Dr. Shealy acted, well, let me ask Dr. Shealy, how long did it take you, Dr. Shealy, when we talked about the coming shortage? I said there will be supply chain shortages, including toilet paper, including paper towels. How long did it take you to react, Dr. Shealy? Seriously, how long did it take you?
Well, that night.
Oh, okay.
I ordered what I thought was a year's supply and got a 2-year supply.
Okay. Well, good for you. Good for you. And I think that's prudent, because worst case, absolute worst case, is you'll have to use it. Okay. That's the worst case. Well, here's what I found out. That I said over the weekend, look, have you heard of Aldi? Aldi's I mentioned this to the people I was talking with on the phone. Have you heard of Aldi? Well, there's one in your neck of the woods. Have you ever been? Well, if you haven't been there, how about this? They've got cans of beans, baked beans for 49 cents, corn 49 cents, green beans 49 cents, pasta $1.39 for 2 pounds, spaghetti sauce for 85 cents. Get some cases of it before the rush. Okay. No sense of urgency. Well, I said on Monday morning, you will probably hear that the panic has started on Monday morning. It will get into more panic mode Tuesday, Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we would hear about this. Well, it's happened. Headlines. Headlines on the Daily Mail. Panic buying hits New York City as anxious shoppers stock up on food and medical supplies after healthcare worker in her 30s becomes Big Apple's, that's New York City, first confirmed coronavirus patients. Shoppers have been seen scrambling for groceries in supermarkets in Brooklyn and Queens in New York. Social media have emerged, people panic buying people panic buying at a Chinese supermarket in Flushing, Queens. Empty shelves seen in stores around New York amid fears of the spread of the coronavirus. New York had its first case confirmed on Sunday. Okay, so there are images of it looks like Black Friday, worse than Black Friday, way worse than Black Friday. The pallet racks at Costco, where they have pallets of toilet paper, paper towels, and things like that, empty. Not just 12-foot rack. I'm talking like many 12-foot racks, empty, nothing on them, nothing, just the pallet, the empty pallet. The videos that I'm looking at, unbelievable. The long lines, 15 minutes just to get into the parking lot of a Costco. So people have waited till the last minute. Now, the people whom I've talked to, nobody was going to do anything. That was my impression until maybe this week. They've already missed it. And the expression that my mom used to use is, I've been saying this till I'm blue in the face. That's how I feel. Dr. Shealy, I know without being in the exam room with you, that you must have that same feeling. Telling your patients, here's what you have to do. Is my imagination running amok, or is this true?
No, it's
How do you
true.
get people to pay attention? How do you get them to pay attention?
Did you see the article I sent you yesterday from the New York Times about the store that's sold out of hand wipes?
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I ordered 4 quarts of rubbing alcohol to have on hand also.
Well, that's the thing about the GDP. They don't realize that you don't have to have Clorox hand wipes. I mean, it's certainly more convenient, but you can have rubbing alcohol. You can have a paper towel. You can wash your hands. You don't have to have antibacterial hand soap. You can wash your hands really, really well, and that will do almost as good of a job. Isn't that right, Dr. Shealy?
Oh, yeah.
So the term that I'm going to be using for this series of events that we're seeing across the world, I'm going to call it the Corona Panic. And it used to be that in 1929, starting in October 1929, there was the first Great Depression. And the president did not like the term panic. And people were calling it a panic because they were in full panic mode. People were jumping out windows because they lost everything in the stock market. And so the panic was renamed by the government of the United States depression. They said panic is too scary, so we'll call it a depression. Right now, I believe that we are in corona panic mode for those who are paying attention. And yet the GDP are spreading this willy-nilly, carelessly, frivolously, recklessly, and they're traveling. They're getting in airplanes. They're still getting on cruise ships, and they're spreading it. There's a story about this businesswoman, and she got on an Aeroflot flight on a Friday in Moscow, and 2 passengers on that flight were infected with the coronavirus. The flight landed in Beijing, China, and as a result, she is now quarantined in a Beijing hotel, along with just about everybody else, except for the people who were confirmed infected. They're in the hospital. Everybody else, almost 400, are now guests in a hotel, in a room they are not allowed to leave in China. Now, she was just on a business flight. And she thinks it's unfair. She thinks it's unfair that these 2 people got on. They had a relative who was from the area that was infected in China. And because another person got on the flight, this woman cannot get out of quarantine. She's locked down in Beijing. Kind of like the story of getting on a cruise ship. Getting on, finding out someone's infected. Now the whole ship can't dock. I don't understand what's wrong with people. If I had a boss that said, hey, Vinny, you got to go, you got to fly to Tennessee, I'd say, I got a phone. I'll make a call instead. I'll talk to them. I'm not going. But yet people seem to think that they have to go. They have free will. They don't have to go. They may lose their job. But which is more important? Infecting everybody in your family or losing that job? Any comments, Dr. Shealy, on what I think is idiocy?
Common sense.
Okay.
I mean, it's snowing out. Put on your coat, okay?
Yeah. Right?
There is a pending epidemic. Well, take caution.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a trip planned to Assisi, North Italy, May 31st. I've already told the people who were going with me, we will make a decision April 15th, but that decision, unless something radically changes in the next 5 weeks, I'm not going to Assisi. Why would I fly into the area in Italy which has the highest concentration of the virus right now? In fact, the idea of traveling overseas anywhere right now is not on my list.
How would, class, just hypothetically, how would you react to getting on an airplane, flying out of New York City, heading toward Europe, and then finding out that you're not going to come back for at least a month? At least a month. Just going on a vacation for a week, and you're going to come back and then go back to work, and then you find out that it's a month, and then your job goes to somebody else because you haven't shown up for a month. Dr. Shealy and I'll be right back. Dr. Norman Shealy is with us, normshealy.com, Norm, SHEALY.com, medical doctor, surgeon, brain surgeon, neurosurgeon, surgeon of the year, author, and my friend, Dr. Norm Shealy. Dr. Shealy, when President Donald Trump made that press announcement last week, he said there were 15 cases of the coronavirus in the United States. 5 days later, there are now 89. That's six times as many in 5 days. And what I was trying to I was trying so hard to do without, losing my temper with the people I was talking with, was to say, look, this is going to happen. Really, if you don't buy it now, over the weekend, you're going to be part of the mad rush when you do end up going to get it, if you do end up going to get it. And I'm talking about beans and corn and staples, toilet paper, paper towels, hand soap, bar soap, all those kinds of things. And why buy it when the mad rush is there and now you're in the midst of a whole bunch of people who might be sick? Why would you wait? Why not get it when the shoppers at the store are fewer and farther between? Why not get it then rather than wait till the full-blown panic hits? So I was really frustrated, but I don't think we can fix it, Dr. Shealy. I think this is like trying to tell a person who has type 2 diabetes, back off the bread, back off the candy, we can't get, Dr. Shealy, I have been unsuccessful, 100% unsuccessful in getting people who have type 2 diabetes to call in. We'll pay for the call, and you can tell them what to do. I can't get them to call even to save their own lives. I can't do it. I've tried. I've wasted my breath, and I keep thinking, now I just kind of shake my head and keep going. But I was really disappointed that I've been so unsuccessful. And I can't figure it out. I really can't figure it out. It's got to be all over the TV. It's on the internet. And I'm looking at our ratings right now, talking about this. They're not so good. Sports is beating us today. How is that possible? We're talking about people dying and saving their own lives. And I guess it's not as much fun as learning about, who caught the ball and who fell and who tripped and who hurt his arm and
now that's
on the ball field.
Just remember, by my standard, only 2.7% of Americans have enough common sense to live. I'm being not being facetious when I say that. 97.3% of Americans have 1 to 5 unhealthy habits. 93%. Why would you have 1 unhealthy habit, let alone 5 or more? It doesn't make any sense at all. So even those who've got 4 out of 5 are still putting themselves at risk by either smoking or being overweight or not exercising or not eating fruits and vegetables or not sleeping adequately. Any one of those is enough to kill you prematurely.
I've been to your house a number of times, and I've been with you a number of times. And Dr. Shealy, I can say with absolute certainty, I have never seen anybody smoke in your house, on your property, or at any of your events. I've never seen that. And
well, you couldn't pay me to smoke. I wouldn't take $1 trillion to smoke one cigarette.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this, Dr. Shealy. You have family, and if things go the way I think they're going, and your family members decide to show up at your farm, and someone came over, not in your family, but maybe they brought a loved one who smoked, what would your reaction be? And we're talking about hunkering down now.
I would say,
would you please go out
to the pig pen? That's where that belongs.
Mm-hmm.
And I would insist upon it. In fact, even though we don't have a pig, so it'd have to be a cow pen. But
would you allow anybody to smoke in your house?
Oh my God, no! I'd fight to death to keep them from doing it.
Mm-hmm. Right. And what would you do if someone showed up at your house? And I'm talking about this situation getting more serious by the second, and it is. What would you do if someone had a risky behavior, whatever that is, and wanted to come and, and hunker down at your house? Would you allow that?
No.
I would not. Mm-hmm. Well, that's how I feel as well. I've gotten some calls over the last few weeks. People have called and said, "Hey, listen, I want to come over and say hi." And my reaction has been so far, the gate's locked. The gate's locked. Maybe when the gate's not locked, maybe. And that's how I feel. I do not want to be around people who are engaged in risky behavior. I won't allow that on my farm. As a matter of fact, I'm toying with the idea, and I've done some research about signs. And there are farms that have that are biosafe, SAFE. And what they want to do is, not only are they organic, but they don't want biological contamination from outside. So, for example, there are chicken farmers, and I've talked to them right here in Missouri, and they have signs on their gates and on their fences that say, "Biosafe zone, do not enter." And they don't want the tire tracks of the tires of your vehicle on their property, because they don't know where your tires have been. They don't know where your shoes have been. They don't know where you have been, and they don't want you on their farm near their chickens. I'm very serious about this. Dr. Shealy, have you seen or heard about this? It's here.
Well, I haven't until now, but I can understand it.
Well, we wanted to buy some chicken poop for, we were considering that, using that as a fertilizer to experiment on one of our fields. And we knew of this farm. It's maybe 40 miles from here, and we happened to be going that way. And there it was, the sign, right on the driveway. The gate's closed. Gate's closed. There's no entrance to the farm. There's a sign that says, a huge sign, says biosafe zone, no entry. No entry. And if you want to go there, you have to call for an appointment. And I have a feeling what they'll do is say, why would you want to come here? And then if you have a bona fide reason that's acceptable to the owners of the farm, they probably have a bath for your shoes that you put your feet in. So you have to have, I would think, like rubber boots that are waterproof. And then you have to have them to get on the farm. No vehicles. Then you put your rubber boots on your feet into this bath to sterilize your boots. Then maybe you can get into this farm. That's what people are doing. And I have a feeling that is going to be extrapolated and extended over into people's homes, where they're not going to let people in that they don't know, or even people they do know that they think have risky behavior. I think that this is going to happen. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And I think that this is so deadly that governments all over the world are taking actions to restrict travel. There's in Switzerland, there are no events allowed right now over 1,000 people. Now, what does that mean? Well, there are Catholic churches that have more than 1,000 people in attendance. Well, no church. The state is saying no get-together to worship in those numbers. There's an auto event, an annual auto event in Geneva. That's probably not going to happen also. And if you think about it, what's 1,000 people? We had 6,000 at our expo. People were, side by side. You couldn't go in any direction more than 3 feet without bumping into somebody. That's the density that is concerning. And if you want to see something really interesting, just go into a store and listen to somebody cough and watch everybody back away. That's right now. Dr. Shealy, what do you think we should do in terms of, we've talked about it. I think that there might be a few new people in class that don't know what to do. What do we do?
Well, number one, to me, you have adequate food, you have adequate toilet paper, you have adequate alcohol or bleach, and you curtail travel as much as possible. That's simple.
Do you remember, it made the media, probably, it had to be a couple decades ago, where, those high pressure toilets in public restrooms and, in stores, you kick that handle with your foot and it's like, and so whatever was in the toilet, some of that gets aerosolized and spread. It goes 20 feet easily. Do you remember those stories, Dr. Shealy?
Oh, yes.
And we know that fecal matter, bodily fluids, carry this coronavirus. It's spread through that. We know that. We know that if you go into a men's room, it looks like there's a contest where the guys see if they can urinate, 3 feet distance to the urinal, because that's how far the pool of pee is around the urinal. It's like when nobody's there, they have a contest, and everybody fails. So there's 3 feet of urine around the urinals, and so people are stepping in that. And can that carry the virus? Absolutely. And if we could put an ultraviolet type dye in that urine puddle, you'd probably see it everywhere throughout the store, tracked everywhere. That's a real concern to me. And do the stores have disinfecting lights, ultraviolet C? Not many. Not many. Dr. Shealy, there's a run on toilet paper in Hawaii, and this was several days ago. Now it's being rationed, toilet paper in Hawaii. Class, Dr. Shealy's with us, and we're talking about the corona panic. That's my term for it. We'll see if it makes the news with people using the same terminology that we just started here at USA Prepares Corona Panic. Macau, it's a peninsula. It's almost an island. It's off the coast of Asia, and it shut down its casinos and entertainment sectors just now. And their income, well, almost just now, just a few days ago, their income is going to be down 88% for the month. Now, 88%, that means that they're running at a loss. You can't run a business with 88% of your revenue gone. Can't be done. So that's what they are doing to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. And here's a thought. What about spring break? Do you know people who are so proud of their children who have gone to Florida for spring break? That's where, these girls twerk, and it's like miles of orgy. Spring break in Florida. People don't know people, and they have sex with them, and that's what our best and brightest are doing at spring break. And they end up on videos on the internet. I'm sure the mothers and fathers are so proud of those daughters doing that. Well, do you want your children to go to spring break in Florida this year? Do you want them to? How about Disney? Would that be a good thing? Because I'm sure you've heard of people who've worked so hard and they deserve a vacation and go spend a few $1,000s they don't have on the mouse. Yeah, in Florida, where it's wall-to-wall people. And most people go there via airplane. Does this make any sense to anybody? Or are you going to try to communicate what's really happening with those whom you love, who may have children who are going on, or think they're going on spring break? Dr. Shealy, any comments about that?
It's time to spring home.
Yeah, Dr. Shealy, you and I live on farms. There's more to do here than we could possibly ever get done the list is longer than we can, check off items on. It's just, there's never a moment where I would say, I'm bored. It's impossible.
No. Boredom is
if you live on a farm, it's
an odd luxury, I would say.
Mm-hmm. How about people who go on vacation and, they'll just hop on a plane and go on vacation and then just read? Just sit down and read. Can't they read at home?
Oh, my. The interesting thing is, I would say, in general, all my life, since I became more or less an adult, since I went to college, I take a vacation occasionally with 1 or 2 days when I've already got to be somewhere on a trip anyway. I might spend an extra 2 days. But I don't just take a week or 10 days as a true vacation.
Right. So I can understand that. If you're already there and it's a destination that has some learning potential to it, I can understand that. But I cannot understand going to a destination where they have nightclubs and gambling and all kinds of,
You don't mean Vegas, of course.
Well, yeah, actually I do.
Well, to me, the only reason you could ever talk me to go to Vegas is a medical meeting that I really need to get to.
Mm-hmm. Well, several years ago, I did go to Las Vegas because that's where the annual National Association of Broadcasters convention was. And I thought that I might have a chance to meet Art Bell, who I considered, the best broadcaster who's ever been around. And, I just loved listening to Art Bell at night. And I thought that there just might be a chance. I didn't realize how big this thing was. It's huge. There's no chance of ever meeting Art Bell at this thing, but that's why I went. It was in Las Vegas, and it was pretty creepy. It really was. There's too many people. And I'm thinking about these little cities and even big cities who think that, all we have to do is attract people to come here, and we'll just take their money. And that's what Las Vegas does, attract people to come there and take their money. This little town down 20 miles down the road from us in the county where I am, they hired a guy to turn this little area into a tourist destination. And I said, have you lost your mind? There's nothing here. The Civil War went around here. There's nothing here. There's nothing to see. And so what are we saying? Bring us your trash? Leave it here? Thanks very much. We'll be right back. Everyone all set? Cocked, locked, blissed? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, medical doctor. NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. Dr. Shealy, one of our instructors is Steve Elkins. He lives in Florida. And he and I were talking over the weekend. We talk all the time. And he is an ER nurse and an ICU nurse and has 27 years plus under his belt as a nurse. And he and I were talking about negative pressure rooms over the weekend. And there is this belief that when people are really sick with a communicable disease, that they go into these negative pressure rooms in hospitals. And, just show up and hospitals are ready for you. And he and I were discussing that is not the case, that these rooms are ready because the hospitals have the number of rooms that they need, not expecting a pandemic or an epidemic.
I'm just laughing at reality.
No, this is reality. So,
I understand.
We go to the hospital and we think that they're going to take us next, and And the case is that they don't have an abundance of these negative pressure rooms. So what I'm trying to say is, I guess it's really simple. We need to get out of the way of this thing. Just stay out of the way. I was talking with one of our instructors who has an event planned, kind of like you, Dr. Shealy. There's an event planned, and it's a wedding. It's several states away. And one of the family members is going to be in the wedding party, and it's a big deal. And I said, for me, I wouldn't be going. I'd say, y'all have a nice time. Wish I could be there. But I'm not going. And see, to me, Dr. Shealy, that's a risk that a person does not need to take. Does not need to take. I mean, no matter what. How important is a wedding, really? And frankly, none of our children is married. If one wanted to get married, I would be disappointed if I couldn't convince them to, hey, let's have it in the backyard here. You know, we'll have a backyard wedding. Oh, I'm serious. I'm absolutely serious. Backyard wedding, invite a few of your friends. There might be 10 of us total. And you can declare yourself married. You don't need a blood test. You don't need a permit from the state, a license from the state. You don't need to pay I don't even know how much it costs. You don't need that. Just declare yourself married. Just get a Bible and write down in the Bible that you've declared yourself married on this date at this time, and have your friends and family witness it, and done. And then if you decide to get unmarried, it's not a big deal. You just, and I hope that would never happen, but it does happen to like 3 out of 4 people who get married. It happens to 3 out of 4 of them. They get married. It's not like it used to be. And it's a lot better to keep the government out of our lives. But why have a big wedding, and why go to a catered wedding where there are people cooking the food who you don't know, and serving meals that you don't know where they come from, and so forth. And I'm broadcasting today, Dr. Shealy, and all my computers are old. I bought 7 computers, 7 used Dell computers years and years ago. They were old when I bought them, and now one of the mice quit. Okay, it doesn't work right. So I have to get a new mouse. Well, that'd be normally what would happen, right? I'd get a new mouse. Well, where do they come from? Well, they come from China. Now, what happens when we run out of mice? Now what are we going to do? And that's just a little insignificant thing. We have extra mice here. But what I'm saying is, if that were a showstopper, if my mouse didn't work and I didn't have a spare, what would that be like? That's what it's going to be like, class. Here's what you do. If you want to know what's going to happen, go to your computer, move your mouse, and don't touch the click button, okay? You can move your mouse anywhere you want. You can watch it point all over the screen, but it won't click. So just simulate what that's like. That's what it's going to be like with everything. You'll have cars that work like that. You may be able to start them, but they won't go into drive. Or you may be able to put it in drive, but you have a flat tire. Or you may be able to drive, but there's a smell under the hood where the oil's leaking and you can't get the valve cover gasket for it. That's what it's going to be like. David in Illinois, welcome. You're on with Dr. Norm Shealy.
Hey, how you doing? I hope you don't mind I called in, but
Hey, David, I'm frustrated.
Yes,
I'm frustrated. How about you?
I honestly, I'm not frustrated as much anymore. I've seen this. I figured, I knew something like this eventually was going to happen. In a way, I think we purposely caused this problem. Not the virus itself. I'm talking about the supply chain. When I was in college, they were already starting to ship everything overseas, and even our weapons and everything. Would you ever possibly think, if somebody told you 20 years ago that we would send all our pharmaceuticals, all our military required, technology over there to somebody we view as somewhat of an enemy, and you're going to tell them, hey, by the way, we're at a conflict right now. Can you send us some more missile parts right away before we? I mean, you know,
insanity. You can't call it anything else.
David, what you're saying is absolutely true. Absolutely true. The auto industry is saying, y'all, we got a problem. We're a little short of wiring harnesses for our cars. Can you imagine? Can you imagine being dependent on China for wiring harnesses for American cars? Can you imagine that? That's where we are right now. Wiring harnesses.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. I think in a way this is the only way to wake up the American people, because I would try to talk to them. And granted, I got access, and I didn't realize how classified a lot of that access was that I was given access to. I didn't ask for it, didn't want it. But I would try to tell. And then all of a sudden you see like this AOC group and everybody talking about this new green deal. They want to get rid of, if we don't get rid of all of our cars, shut off the electricity, go to solar, this or that, within a so much short amount of time, there's no way possible, we're going to be able to do it. It'll be worse than it is, I think, with some of this virus. But this may be a way to show them that you just can't stop that stuff in only a few years like they're talking about doing. So I think this will help show them really how reliable we are on everybody else, and we don't need that. We need to bring it here back.
Here's a really good thing, Dr. Shealy and David. This is a really good thing. I mentioned this wedding. Well, there will be a shortage of wedding gowns. No kidding. A shortage of wedding gowns because they're they're made in China.
God.
So these gals that want these I guess it's a really big day for when a gal gets married, and they parade these used once very expensive gowns in front of the attendees. It's ridiculous to me what they spend on them, but they do, and that's going to be in short supply very soon. So maybe these backyard weddings are going to take place. Maybe you're going to wear to get married, you wear your cleanest pair of blue jeans, the ones with the least amount of grease on them. Seriously. Our son, one of our boys, is seeing this girl, and I haven't met her yet, but I really like her because the last time they got together, she said, so what's the plan? What are we going to be doing? And she said, because I'm not wearing my makeup. I love it. I haven't met this girl yet, but I love it. And pretty soon, nobody's going to be wearing makeup. You're going to actually get to see what people really look like. We're going to get to see the real people, and it's going to be terrifying.
I don't know how that women do it anyways. My wife, she never wears makeup. She never has. And when she does go to the dermatologist or her specialist, they're like, the women especially, they're like, how do you keep your skin so young? She goes, I don't put none of that stuff up. I just don't do it. I don't know how they could do it. And
Mrs. Finelli doesn't wear. Yeah, Mrs. Finelli does not get painted up. She looks the same all day long. Dr. Shealy, what are your thoughts about makeup? Taking rendered animal fat, cooking up animal fat, and then the grease that becomes lipstick and cosmetics. What are your thoughts about that and clay? Pasting clay on colored clay on people's faces.
Well, I have to admit, I've never actually thought about it. I have to admit, I've never used it. I don't know. Not planning on starting either.
Several years ago, when my hair was darker, a guy was visiting the house, and I've known him for 15 years, and he said, "You dye your hair?" And I said, "No." And he was really kind of surprised that my hair was so dark for my age. And I guess there are a lot of men who dye their hair. And, Jumpin' Joe, the plagiarist, the guy who wants to be CEO of the United States, Biden, that guy, Jumpin' Joe, the plagiarist, Biden, he's had reconstructive surgery so that he looks better than he is. That's what he's doing. Then there is Chris Christie from the Garden State, and he had bypass surgery so he could be half the man he was, so he could, run for higher offices. That's what people do. They portray themselves as different from what they really are. David, what is your greatest concern about all this, if I may ask?
My biggest concern is one. Yeah, some of us may, be fine with this afterwards, but as it mutates, I have a concern with that. But like I said when I spoke to you and Steve before a while ago, my biggest concern was the West Coast. And that place is bacteria, feces, waste, every factory, and they're worried about people's emotions, seeing them cleaning up the streets or the sidewalks. And I'm like, and what could it turn into? It could turn into something really, really, really bad. It's all right there.
All right, hold that thought, David, because when we come back, let's talk about Mardi Gras. Did you see the cleanup of Mardi Gras? That was like a sewer in New Orleans. That was like a sewer. We'll be right back with Dr. Shealy and David. So we were talking about Mardi Gras and Louisiana, New Orleans, Louisiana. And 2020 Mardi Gras is February 25th, and I saw some images of these absolutely weird-looking people, costumes. I mean, it looks like a traveling circus with tens of thousands of people. They have these beads, and they are just as careless and reckless as can be. And the cleanup after these revelers participated in Mardi Gras, which is French for Fat Tuesday. It's the practice of the last night of eating rich, fatty foods before the Lenten sacrifices. So we're going to get stupid and I mean absolutely crazy before we get serious. I mean, that's what this is all about. It's a Christian ritual, believe it or not. I don't see anything Christian about it. It's out of control. Decadence, waste, and they used skid loaders to pick up all the trash left by these celebration type people. That's how stupid we are. We are literally like this. And what happens to all those beads? Animals find them, think they're food, eat them, and die. That's how stupid people are. Balloons. Helium balloons. I hate helium balloons. When they land on the farm, I think of what moron bought this for a child that had to have this helium balloon, and then the child lets go of the string and off it goes, and then it lands on our farm. I hate this carelessness. David, you were going to say something?
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised they're cleaning this all up, but I get your frustration with the animals. Years ago, they were trying to tell people with the plastic wrapper bindings that put your 6 packs of, soft drinks or whatever in. Animals were getting their heads stuck through them, and they'd find them dead because it couldn't get back out. And I'm like, well, you know what? It bothers me what people do to animals. All they want to, they don't care about TV. They don't care about nothing except for surviving. And they seem the ones that are always the ones that are hurt the most with all of this ridiculous waste, nonsense, and trash.
David, if you had a worldwide forum and you could say anything that you wanted to people about the coronavirus, and you were able to be heard far and wide, what would you say? Because you can say that right now.
I don't know. I'm kind of beyond trying to talk to people anymore. I mean, I don't know. I don't waste. I told people one of these days, the only way they're going to care is if it comes and affects them personally. In other words, they don't care as long as they get paid or they can work out a way. Hey, They look at everything. People, okay, hey, I know this person. If I go along with them, maybe I can get a job or a government job or this. Money's not going to help survive you if something happens and you cannot get access to medicine. They don't realize, or their vacations. I've never been on a vacation. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. I don't understand that.
I have not, David. I have not either. However, I believe I am on permanent vacation here at the farm. Well, I'm serious, Dr. Shealy. I'm serious because if after the broadcast I want to take a rifle out and go plinking or a pistol and go plinking, you've been plinking here, Dr. Shealy. You know what it's like. It's like that at your farm too. I can do that. If I want to go dig a hole to put in a pond, I can do that. I don't ask for permission. I just do it. So I'm on vacation. It's not that it's always easy, and it's not that it's always fun. Now, sometimes it's really hard work. Well, actually, it's hard work like all the time. But I'm on vacation all the time because that's a lifestyle that we chose. And class, you can be on vacation all the time too if you want to buy a farm. It's a whole change in the thought process. For example, if you have a subdivision property, you probably want your lawn to look really good. I don't care what our lawn looks like, as long as it's edible, and as long as I'm serious.
And do you prefer pigs, beef, sheep, or goats to eat it for you?
Yeah. Dr. Norm Shealy is with us, class. NormShealy.com, NormShealy.com. And if you'd like to get your youth formula, if you'd like to get your vitamins, mineral supplements, or Dr. Shealy's books, NormShealy.com. David, I've got some calls in the stack. Are there any other comments you'd like to make for the class or Dr. Shealy?
Just really quick, I was going to ask him a question. With this virus going around, and they say it's possibly going to hit, it'll be, rougher on people with immune system issues, or is that? My concern is out mainly the West Coast, but with everybody putting all their little children on these crazy hormone replacements to do gender identity and starting at 3 years old, wouldn't that cause them to have severe immunity deficiency?
That is just one other form of insanity, David. I mean, many forms of insanity, and that's one of them.
No, so, but we did just get we finally got her lab work done. She did have a nosebleed the last time I was on your phone, and her lymph nodes are swollen. That's my wife. So we finally got the test results, so we'll try to find a way to get that before we order some supplements in case she needs that, because it took.
Did you want to review that with Dr. Shealy before you leave the air? Here?
No, we were trying to get it sent to us so we can print it out, and then it'd be easier because they're bad and they're still getting. And it's amazing that the doctor's not even. We're having to tell the doctor what lab test to take. She wasn't even going to do them. But I want to thank you for any help you've given us in the past. So I'll let you go. Thank you,
David. Thank you so much. That's David in Illinois, USA Prepares Instructor. Kyle in Montana, welcome.
Good morning, gentlemen. Vince, your picture, when GCN pops up and it says go to USA Prepares, I was just almost sure that was rouge on your cheeks.
Well,
I'm sorry.
let me just tell you very quickly about that picture. That picture was taken in the same broadcast studio where Dr. Shealy and I met. That's at KWTO AM 560 Springfield, Missouri. And Dr. Shealy would broadcast the hour before I would come on, and that's how we met. That's where we met. in that studio. So that is the picture of the radio station in Springfield, Missouri. So in case you're wondering, class, that's it.
With a red reflector.
What I called about was actually what I called about actually has to do with that a bit. The rouge. This is interesting. So red dye number 3 was outlawed to be able to put on your face for cosmetics for women for makeup because it was linked to cancer. But guess where they're using red dye number 3 now as one of the ingredients in. It is in these impossible meats so it's not okay to put on your skin, but it's okay to swallow and eat. But they actually are putting it in like these impossible meats that these soy-based products that are considered. Actually, I looked this up the other day online. They are considered one. You know how they say don't eat processed food, right? Well, these are considered the very highest processed of foods, which is really interesting. I thought, Vince, I just wanted to call in and say hi and give you guys that information. We actually have a meeting my wife and I have to head out to, but I just wanted to thank you, Dr. Shealy, for all you do, and you too, Vince, and you guys have a great day.
Kyle, thank you so much. Please give our best to your lovely wife. And I was thinking about, just very quickly, Kyle, I was thinking about all the people whom I think are going to ride this out and survive it. And Dr. Shealy's, this is just me thinking to myself yesterday and over the weekend. Dr. Shealy's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Joey's going to be fine. Gwyneth is going to be fine. Rich Sheeman is going to be fine. Rick is going to be fine. And, and some others. I wish it would be everybody I have met, but I don't think it's going to be. But the ones I have met at USA Prepares type levels, I think are way better prepared than the GDP. The GDP I don't think they're going to make it. Kyle, do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I think you're right, Vince. It's like I said last time, I don't like being duped. And so I think this is going to be pretty rough. I don't know how bad it's going to be. They say that a lot of people get over it. I checked online. I'm probably not as much as you, but, I've heard as high as a 10% death rate, and I've heard as low as a 1% death rate. That's not it's higher than the normal flu by far, and it tends to affect men and older people worse. So, just be smart. Well, do like I still do. I take the Dr. Shealy's 50,000 units of vitamin D3 once a week. I take K2 once a week right with it. Just be smart. Take your vitamin C, get a really good multiple vitamin. I've already told everybody, all my kids, to do that. We have ordered 4, each one for each one of the families and us, of these, what are they called? Nebulizers. Anyway, the nebulizers, because we're going to use them if anything like this happens. We're going to use the colloidal silver in them and just a drop or two of the oregano oil. We're going to get more of that. And upon your thought the other day when you were talking about you couldn't afford to be without water, I've got a brand new well pump coming, and I've got a brand new pressure tank coming, and I'm going to get, when I pick up the pressure tank on Tuesday, I'm going to buy a new pressure switch. I'm going to have things in advance of any kind of a supply chain thing, because they're saying this supply chain lack is not going to hit for possibly another month. I mean, some of it is already showing up, but they say the worst of it's not going to hit for probably a month. The best information I can find. But,
very quickly, Kyle, two more things you need to add to that list. You've got the well pump. You've got the well pump pressure tank. You're going to get the well pressure switch. Then there are the submersible waterproof connectors or splicers. They're available on eBay. They're about $5 for 3 of those for your 3 wires, so you can splice the wires down underwater in the well, between the well pump and the, okay, good. And then the last thing is the well pressure or the well pump control box. There's a capacitor and a relay in there, and if that capacitor fails, that's a starting capacitor. If that fails, your pump will not start. So
yes, yep, I'm familiar with that. Actually, the pump that I ordered and the pump that's actually been in my well for many years has its own capacitor built into it, so there is no control box.
Okay, mine requires okay. Well, very good. And class on Friday, if you'd like, we can talk more about that. I can tell you about the well pumps and what I'm doing. Kyle, I know you have to go. Thank you so much for being with us.
You bet. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
So there you have Kyle, who is taking care of his emergency preparedness plans. Dr. Shealy, we're talking about the grass and the outside, and last year you and I were talking about dandelions, and when they went to seed, I went out with one of those grocery paper bags, the kind we used to have, those grocery bags, and I went out and I just got all kinds of dandelion seeds and put them in there because I think we're a few 100,000 dandelion plants short in our lawn. So I'm going to be planting dandelion seeds right now while other people are trying to get rid of dandelions, we think that they're edible. And so we'll be able to go out into the yard and pick dandelions and make salad. And you can make dandelion wine. And isn't it one of the most beneficial plants on the planet, Dr. Shealy?
Yes.
How do you eat dandelions? My mom had a dandelion digger, and it was like this long fork, and she would just push it in the ground, cut the root, and then she'd pull out the plant, and then we'd have salad. How do you?
Well, the root.
How do you eat?
You could cut up the root like a radish.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wash it off and make.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. I see we've got George. He's calling in from New Hampshire, and he's talking with Jason. Okay. Here we go. George, welcome.
Hi, Vince. Hi, Dr. Shealy.
Hey.
Just 2 blips. I just want to make 2 fast comments. One is, it's like D-Day. You prepare as a paratrooper, you go to jump school and everything else, but sooner or later you're going to have to jump out of an airplane, and you're going into a zone that, let's just say, it's no longer a test drill. That's 1. 2 is, I was on Amazon over the weekend, plus I went to a number of stores, but what I noticed, the traffic was a little bit heavy for a Sunday night, more, not a lot, but just a little, but I had a sense that there was something like just underneath the radar. But I noticed on Amazon, if I was ordering certain things, I noticed that I'd put it in the cart and I'd just move on to something else, and I didn't waste a lot of time, but within 5 minutes, the cart kept emptying on its own accord, and it says, now there's only this much available. And then all of a sudden, when I went up to check out, it was like, there's none available, but don't worry, it's on back order. So I just want to put that out there, and I think talking to certain people, trying to spread the word to certain people, I think their attitude is kind of like, ho-hum, what will be, and that's it.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. When I ordered our well pump, I found it. I was delighted to get it. I ordered it. Came in at $189 shipped. And this thing is good for 300 feet. It was a rebuilt one. I wanted one with a Franklin, Franklin brand motor. That was really important to me because they're the best brand motor. You can get a Chinese one, brand new, for less money. But why would I want a Chinese water pump or well water pump? Why? And if you read the reviews say, well, it lasted, a couple days. Do you know how much work it is to put in a well pump? And you have to sterilize the well after it. You've got to clean the pipe. You want to sterilize the pipe before you put it in. And this pipe could be 300 feet long. It's a big job. And it takes a lot of people.
Right. But the other thing, even on a simpler level, because I can imagine you'd have to duplicate or triplicate work. But I had a small flashlight, and it was like you could clip it on, and it would show me when I was walking up the path. You know, after not even a little over 5 minutes, the thing went out on me. I couldn't get it on until this morning, and it was made in China. So in other words, in an emergency, if you're out in the cold for like more than 5 minutes, your flashlight goes dead.
Well, I think more people are paying attention. Our ratings were not so good in the early part of the broadcast, and now they are way up. And we're way ahead of all those wonderful sports programs that are currently on the air. On Friday, we're going to be talking about ham radio with Gordon West. He's an author, and he's written 3 great publications that I have here. And we're going to be talking about ham radio and what it takes. And Joanne, one of our class members, is going to be joining us. She studied for the exam, passed the exam. She's going to talk about why she did it, what it's like, is it difficult, and so forth. And she now has her license, technician's license to operate her ham rig. So that is, that's Friday. George, we're talking about the supply chain. I know from my research, and I've gotten this right from the horse's mouth, that automotive supply parts are, the shortages are here for engine parts, engine repair parts, and automatic transmission repair parts. Absolutely here. And I've also learned that if you want name brand parts like Delco, AC Delco, or Motorcraft, or Mopar, you know, the original equipment for Chrysler, Ford, General Motors, those parts are in short supply. If you want no names, you can still get them. But if you want the original top quality brand names that have the manufacturer's names on them, very difficult to get. George?
I wanted to say some other aspect of this, and I think Dr. Shealy, I'd like his opinion on it, Vincent, is not to get aside from what you just said, but I lost my grandmother in the middle 20s. She and her nephew, the influenza epidemic, and my understanding was, I think this disease is going to linger, where in other words, it'll be opportunistic in the sense that it will attach itself to people, and then it'll just wait, in my opinion, until the immune system dips and there's a weakness or something happens, and I think it's going to be taking people down maybe for years to come. In other words, it's not going to go away. Do you mind my asking Dr. Shealy your opinion?
Well, I have to flip a coin. Nobody knows, and only time will tell. You certainly are possibly right, but we don't know enough yet to even begin to speculate how it's going to wind up.
Here's how I see the importance for us in class today and for weeks, actually for all the time I've been on the air. The important thing is there are a lot of people who are dwelling on who did this to us, who caused it. You know, was it to take down President Trump? Was it to fix the economy by taking out the irrational exuberance of the stock market? The plunge protection team, is it to take all those gains down to a more reasonable level? Is it to punish China? There are lots of theories out there, but the real important part is we can't fix whatever caused this. What we need to do is protect ourselves from this, and that's why we need to go out and get the supplies we need right now while you can still get them. That's the whole point of this. That's the whole point of what we've been trying to say. You need to get the vitamins.
All the way.
Yeah.
You need to be healthy. You know, do you need masks? Well, if you tell your boss you're not going to work, you don't need masks. And if you're worried about, you know, maybe I should buy that trailer. Okay, maybe, you know, like a utility trailer. Well, there might be plenty of utility trailers lying around for the taking after this is all over. You may not have the neighbors you thought you were going to have.
Yeah. I think it's like, you know, when they're gathering wild horses and they're taking them from a very wide area, they progressively narrow it down until finally they either run them into a box canyon where they can't get out of, or a corral. And I think if you look at the way things have been going over the decades, they've been narrowing us down, homogenizing us to the point where they claim diversity, but what it really is more, it rhymes with perversity in many instances. But in other words, they're bringing in and bringing, but they're doing it in such an accelerated way where they're throwing caution to the wind, where they're not screening immigrants, they're not screening for mental health diseases, whatever, like they did in the olden times. And we're going to reap the whirlwind from it. And we can see it now. This is just probably one blip along the way that's all designed maybe to speed us towards automation, speed us to not have paper currency, and maybe as a test balloon, too, for bigger and worse things in the future.
There's a town in Alabama, and the federal government decided that, the Princess cruise ship, those who are under quarantine need to go to this town in Alabama. And the town is Anniston, Anniston. Well, a medical doctor found out about that, and he went ballistic. So he put on a hazmat suit, and he let people know that it's coming here. And there was a revolt. And people said, oh, no, it's not. And you know what? The federal government backed down. Are you willing to do that, class? Are you willing to get to the streets? Are you willing to take Lucille with you and say, hey, you're not bringing that here? Are you going to close down your area? Think about that. Dr. Shealy, thank you so much for being with us. George, thank you.